Being authentic, what does that feel like? What does that mean for you? This video is intended to share different perspectives of how you can notice if you are feeling authentic, and if you aren't feeling authentic, why, and what to do about it. So I had a conversation with a client the other day where he was really focusing on his outside environment. He was focusing on his in-laws and how different his in-laws were. He was focusing on his discontent with their way of being in the world. And this experience is probably pretty familiar to a lot of us, that when we're around people who do things in a different way, sometimes it can be really off-putting and can get us going. Politics, for example. There's a lot of things that happen in our outside world that can be really distracting and can pull us away from ourselves. So it was really powerful for me to again, I mean, this is something that I do a lot with clients and with myself, where there's this experience of a polarizing experience where the person or myself is pulled out of myself. My focus or the client's focus is way over there on whatever, doesn't matter, and there's sort of an abandonment that happens here. And this experience can put us out of touch with ourselves, but also out of commission really in our life and in our ability to really be productive and create what we want. So when we're outside, when we're functioning, from the outside in, so to speak, when we're focusing on the outside and we're at the affect or the affect of our environment, we just get diminished. Our personal power is suffers. So what to do about this when you notice that your focus is shifted? What does it feel like? So what's one thing that maybe in the back of your mind that you're like, oh man, I don't know what to do about this, or something that's uncomfortable, something that you may find yourself dwelling about, something that you're afraid of, something that you're dreading. And just notice what happens in your body when you start to focus on that. And what you're noticing, so for me, if I'm thinking about, let's say I'm thinking about, I have a long drive ahead of me today. So if I start thinking about that and thinking, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and I need to get on the road at this time. So I start to feel in between my shoulders start to tense up and a little bit into the back of my left shoulder. So these feelings that we have, these sensations that we have in our body, can be cues to let us know that we're starting to go outside of ourselves. So one of the things that we can do when we notice this, sometimes there's a lot of times when people have these really strong reactions to getting people call it spinning. Some people call it like on the monitors when the computer starts to freeze up, the wheel of death. People start to get caught up and start to spin in their thoughts, and they just lose touch with themselves. Lots of times they get anxiety. They can have they can feel depressed. So strong feelings are also an indication that our focus has shifted. When we start to recognize this change in our bodies, what I have found to work the best, working with people in general, myself included, is to come back to the body, feel our feet on the ground, feel our hands, and be with an experience that we're really passionate about. So if you're really in touch with your purpose, if you're really focused on why you're doing what you're doing, that can be something that shifts us back into our hearts and more connected to ourselves, and sort of reset our approach from the inside out versus the outside in. And then our body usually just is like, oh, whew, there's a relief. Even with really stressful situations, when we're able to connect to ourselves, when we're able to get grounded in our body, feel our feet on the ground, connect to what our body is experiencing, it changes our come from. And that acknowledgement of what we're feeling can lead us to a process of moving through some feelings, which helps us get more in touch with ourselves. So the feelings that are there, once we kind of move the focus back to ourselves, we can start to have feelings. We can start to feel sad. We can start to get into our feelings, which are totally beautiful and welcome and gives us context for what's going on for us. And we can move through those experiences just by being with ourselves. Lots of our conditioning takes us outside. You know, the feelings, we're conditioned to go outside when we have feelings. When I say outside, I mean away from ourselves. We distract ourselves. We've created these ways of numbing and distracting ourselves from our feelings, which just further this complexity of knowing who we are in the world, because we're so distracted all the time by all the different ways that we try to avoid ourselves and our feelings. So again, coming back to the first thing, notice what our body is sharing with us and acknowledge it. See what the feelings are. Allow yourself some space to move through it. If you're in a work environment, if you're in a certain, you're outside in the grocery, you're out in the grocery store or whatever, and it's just not the right time to be with your feelings, make an appointment with yourself so that you give yourself some time to be with what's there, and literally say to yourself, okay, I acknowledge you and I'm with you, and tonight I'm going to be with you and allow all the feelings to move. And you can move them by just being with the feelings. Sometimes just acknowledging them and just taking some slow, deep breaths help to have some emotional release. You can also do some writing. Just allow yourself to write whatever comes to you without judging anything. So these are some easy, simple, maybe not easy, because it challenges our conditioning, ways to reset ourselves and come back to our hearts and be more true, more authentic in the world. Thank you so much.